All right, how's everyone doing? This is the Rich CELENZA show. WTF are you talking about? So usually on my podcast, I'm trying to give advice, at least from my perspective. Again, I am by no means a know-it-all on any level. I know way less than I ever know more of. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I'm always talking about things, trying to improve people with their relationships, I guess, fitness, hygiene, fashion tips and all that. But today I'm going to get into something different. I'm going to call this segment Stop Listening to Jagoffs. So what I mean by that is I realized this in my life as well, that I kept catching myself listening to people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Very similar to why I came up with the slogan, WTF are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? I'm also not only in conversations with these people, being caught listening to them, or even, being programmed growing up. A lot of times we listen to a lot of our family members, friends, even colleagues or friends of friends, all these different people that when we were younger we looked up to. And listen, I got tons of uncles and aunts and cousins that I always looked up to, still look up to a certain degree. But you also got to realize in a lot of the environment that you're surrounded by, if you're around a lot of people, and I could say I'm around a lot of Italian people, let's just say, or a lot of people in general at times. I have a massive Italian family. That there is a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of mental illness throughout different family members. There's a lot of just negativity. There's a lot of drama, a lot of gossip. There's just a lot of bullshit that surrounds our life. And I'm not here to rip on my family or anybody's families or where they work or who your friends are. That is not what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying don't get caught up taking advice a lot of times or following people that you think have their shit together or know what they're talking about when they really don't. Because I think for the most part, most people are completely full of shit. They've learned a lot of their information from other people who are full of shit. And the shit just keeps flowing. All right. Really, what really are the facts a lot of times, what you're hearing, what really works, the stats they're spewing, the information that they're getting, especially now with social media or the news, what level of the shit talking is out there. I can't even believe it when I hear it. And I am by no means a genius, not even close, but I do think I have a certain sense for, I guess you say, removing the nonsense or calling people out on their bullshit, because I don't have a filter myself. And I can assure you a lot of things that I even say are full of shit at times myself. I think they're true, or I think they're real, but a lot of times I even come to find out what I thought was right was wrong as well. But back to the Jagoffs. So I also see a lot of times a lot of people now are following a lot of people on Instagram, Facebook, social media, public figures, and it can even be in the realm of, say, uh, you know, um, the law of attraction or all these things, which I love actually. But the thing is, a lot of people you're getting advice from online, and you start wanting to emulate or thinking you're going to incorporate a lot of these things in your life are going to help you. And a lot of times you don't see the results you want. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why is because a lot of the people giving you the advice don't really you don't want to be who they are. And obviously there's type of advice out there like you want to do this and this and this to prosper. Obviously get good sleep, educate yourself, start learning to listen, stay positive, all these type of basic things, right? But a lot of times I see more than ever, and I kind of got caught in this, is say you start following people, say public figures from The Secret, or people talking about, I'm just using the law of attraction in this discussion. So they're telling you what they do, how they prospered, and all these different things. But the truth is, you're an entirely different person than them. They basically, for the most part, wanted to become either an author, a public figure, somebody who's out there constantly talking about whatever their subject is. and spreading their message and making money off that, either consulting. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them may have invested in different things and they were successful, and then they're teaching you that as well. But unless you have the same goals and same type of, I guess you could say, interest that they do, a lot of what they're telling you doesn't work for you. What you really just got to figure out is what the fuck works for you. Again, I always go back to what is your why. What do you kind of want to prosper and become, right? And so if you want to be a film director, say for instance, you want to figure out not just only how to make films, which is kind of common sense. For you to become a successful filmmaker, you're going to have to obviously learn how to make films. But there's so much more into that. You have to learn how to raise money. You're most likely going to either have to learn how to produce or attach producers. You're going to have to learn about distribution. You're going to have to learn about a ton of different things. And also what you have to realize, a lot of times when you're hearing these people talk and spew a lot of bullshit about how they either succeeded or if you follow my way, it's going to work for you, do this, this, this. Most of those people were fortunate enough to get help from other people. And that's what you got to really start figuring out what to do. That can even, so I'll go back to the filmmaker. He usually, for the most part, he connected with people either in studios, or he connected with other producers, or he connected with people who get him money, executive producers. He could have connected with other, I don't care if it's actors to get attached to their projects, all these different things. So the other thing you need to figure out is, most likely you are not going to go through the same type of situation he did. Because one is, times are changing all the time. So if you're going to follow Martin Scorsese's career, if you want somebody like that, he started back in the late 60s, maybe even early 70s? Maybe his first film was early 70s, mid 70s. Whatever the case may be, him starting his career or you following his career is kind of whack. Again, not saying the type of movies he wants to make. Of course, you may want to have that type of career. But if you're going to read his books kind of like what I did, if I really got to the core of it, there's no way, it's just a totally different industry. How would I even, that's kind of obvious. And I think a lot of younger people fall under this trap, like, oh my God, I'm going to read a bio on this, or if I do this, I don't care if it's Gates, Buffett, this person. The times have changed. So you have to realize that. You need to find somebody now, current, doing what you want to do, and who figure out how to do that. And that's who you're really going to follow to a certain point. And a lot of those type of people don't give out their information, and a lot of them aren't public figures. The reason being is they're out there doing whatever they want to do. They're not out there talking kind of shit about it or telling you how to do it a lot of times, because if they were actually a lot of times doing what they're saying they're doing, they wouldn't have time to do that. So for instance, me talking shit right now on a podcast is a perfect example. I wanted to make films, right? I made a couple films, co-produced a third film. I'm not making films anymore, but I'm actually here talking shit or whatever on how to help you actually into a film career, but I'm doing it from another angle, trying to give you the real advice on how to do that. But I'm not making films right now, right? I would be the first one to admit that. But I also think a lot of people out there, they did things for a while, and now they go on to start teaching people how to do things, and again, they become very outdated. And that's kind of what's happened with me. I haven't made a movie in a long time, so I went and wrote like 4 more screenplays. I wrote a couple more books. Now I'm creating some programs. I haven't made a movie in a while, so my cousin Darlene, who my godmother, she's a she's a professor. She teaches at colleges how to do screenplays and all that stuff. So she wants to do a project, and I was giving her my outlook on how to make a film now. Just because I was fortunate enough, I hang out with a lot of people still some in LA, and I'm still kind of within the film industry, learning things all the time. And I was throwing things at her, and she was completely baffled because they were more modern. And really, she's older. She's in her 60s. When she thought about making films, she still caught 10, 20 years ago. But I said the reality is that's not how the film industry is any longer. It's not like that, right? Nothing is like, 10 years might as well have been 50 years. That's how fast things are moving. Also, is on one end, it's kind of easier to get, create material, but now it's so flooded, it's harder to get your material seen, if that makes sense too. But I'm not going to get into the whole film thing. But the point being is, you really need to get around people that are current, that are hip, that really know what they're doing, and also you need to start attaching yourself to people that you know can help you get to where you need to be. That is the core of life, I think. It's really not always what you know, it's who you know. Because no matter who you are, you're going to need somebody, not even one person, you're going to need a lot of people to get where you need to be. Okay? You need to figure that out very quickly. No one does anything alone. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't even care how much money you have. Anybody who's wealthy will be the first one to tell you that. So, again, stop getting caught up in the Jagoff scene, I call it. And really start listening more, and really start pinpointing and focusing on finding people that were really successful at what you want to do. I mean, really, I know a lot of times we think people are successful at what they did, and they may have been for a certain time in their life, but a lot of them actually end up not being successful in the long run, or not successful at this time and place, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. God bless those people. But you need to find people that are working at or doing things right now in this time, like literally this year or two, not somebody 5 or 10 years ago. And I see a lot of people following people that are really older, and they are wise. I'm not saying that they're not wise, but if you're younger or even middle-aged, those days are gone. You need to start learning from the youth. You gotta really look at life a lot of times like Quincy Jones. You know, he used to say he always stuck with the youth. And I know a lot of people are against millennials. They think they're assholes, or they think they're this or that. But the truth is, they are coming up, and that's going to be their world. But Quincy Jones, going back to that, used to say that he stuck with the young. Where if you go back and look at all the musicians he's played with over the years, most of them got locked into only wanting to know or learn or perform one style of music. And then new music comes in, like that's shitty music. Then the next era or the next phase comes in, oh, that's shitty music. Before you know it, everybody just kind of weeds themselves out of the game because they don't want to accept new information or the way things are changing. But if you want to be relevant for long periods of time, you have to move with the times. And if you want to go back to Spielberg or Lucas or any of these people, they were able to go, even, Scorsese or these type of people. I'm just using film. And the same with musicians or obviously wealthy people. If it is Gates, Buffett, and all these guys, they were able to move with the times. They were always looking into the future. So if you really want to succeed, that's you got to look at the future, because life obviously is not going backwards, and the past is not coming back. That I can assure you. And I'm actually realizing more and more now with a lot of people's political views, even religious views or social media, all this clutterness, it actually, even me or especially the news and all these things, and I think if you have parents or siblings or friends, colleagues, they you find yourself being cluttered with a lot of stupid shit out there that's really not helping you. It's almost like junk food for the brain. It's shit. Don't get caught up with all that bullshit. And then start arguing with people or just all this crazy shit. Fucking move forward. And don't let anybody, I call them anchors, hold you back. Cut the anchor or lift it up, put it in the boat, and just take off. Don't let people slow you down. I'm telling you. I grew up with immigrant Italian grandparents. And one of them, and obviously other family members were immigrants as well. And they were just so no nonsense. And I miss that. A lot of people say I have no filter, I'm brutal. I don't believe that to a certain degree. I do speak what's on my mind, and I try to be humble like everybody else, and I am, whatever that is, but I'm exhausted from people talking shit. That's the one thing I will say about a lot of immigrants, or whatever, at least that I grew up around, and I still hang out with from Italy, is they hit me right between, right in the face with what they're thinking, and what they've kind of been through. And it's just so much honesty, I think, a lot of times. Even if they're wrong, regardless if they're right or wrong, I don't care. But now I think everybody's afraid to be they're afraid to say something, or they're afraid to do something because they're always afraid somebody's going to see them or say something about them or post something, and then they're very thin-skinned and all this shit. So anyways, just do what you got to do. Kick it in the ass, as I like to say. I'm going to wrap this up, though. Again, stop listening to Jagoffs, please. And if you are a Jagoff, stop being a Jagoff. But at times, I think we're all Jagoffs because I think everybody's moody, so depending on what mood you're in, is kind of going to be the way you behave. But try to lessen up on that, especially if you're a parent, and try to have a lot of patience, too. I know a lot of us are losing patience as time goes on with a lot of different things, obviously political, religious, all these different things, social media, but learn to just kick back. I call it the 48-hour rule, 48 hours, where you just chill instead of overreacting, start screaming, yelling. And if you think about it, a lot of Jagoffs out there are making us feel like Jagoffs. And even worse, a lot of Jagoffs are controlling our emotional state of mind because we start listening to them or we're seeing their behavior and it pisses us off. Now we're acting nuts. So I sound nuts with this whole podcast, but I don't give a shit. Anyways, all right. Thanks for taking a listen. I wish you guys nothing but the best. You can check out my YouTube channel. If you want to get really nuts, you can check out my Mastering Self-Confidence programs. But this is the Rich CELENZA Show, signing off. WTF are you talking about?